Okay, so let's go ahead and put together our first little monster. Now these Valentines are super cute, super simple, and very easy to mass produce, and you can probably even get your kids to help you out with the assembly. So we can begin with the base of our card. We've got this little back piece here for your journaling or your stamping. And you want to make sure that you go easy on the glue with this piece here because it may kind of warp the paper. We want it to be nice and crisp. Okay, and it's up to you if you want to do texture side up or if you want it to be smooth side up on the back. I really don't mind the look that I get when I stamp onto the texture side. I prefer the texture side, but that's up to you. I think the texture side is just more beautiful no matter the application. Okay, so we've got our little backing on here. This is where you're going to stamp. Our monster is going to go on the front. Now this cute monster, who we don't really have names for them yet. We may come up with names, I'm not sure yet. This is the main piece here. And one thing to keep in mind here when you're putting these together is that we've created them so that there is a little shadow on the bottom right-hand corner, okay? So you don't want to center it because it's not going to work. You want to line it up to the top left so that there's a little bit of a shadow coming off on the right and bottom section, okay? You see how that looks? So let's get our glue on here. And just little dots, I think, are going to work best with this because it's such a little detailed area. I think if you're going to let your kids do this, a glue stick would probably work just fine. And because these are, you know, not permanent, then it's highly unlikely any kid is going to keep these forever or really take care of them. A glue stick should work just fine. Okay, so let's make sure that we get our little monster lined up properly. With this one here, I'm going to line up the top part of the heart. Okay, and then that top part of her hair. And then once I kind of have it in the general vicinity, I'm just going to pick it up and just kind of scooch it around until it looks right. And that looks fine. And even if it's a little bit off, it's totally fine because we want that little shadow there, and that's totally normal. Okay, so there we go. She's on there nicely. And the googly eyes. Okay, these googly eyes we picked up at either Michael's or Joann's. I'll confirm that just check the supply list on the website as far as where we got them. We're gonna glue our little googly eye on there. Okay, just make sure you let that really set. Okay, she's got some high heel shoes. I think she's anticipating maybe going out on the town. I'm not really sure what monsters eat though. I know what Halloween monsters eat, but I don't know about Valentine monsters. I'm guessing probably like bubblegum and worms, maybe. I'll go with that. Sounds about right. All right, I got a little bit too much glue there on her shoe. I'm just gonna wipe that off a little bit. It'll dry clear, so no big deal. So let's get her other high heel shoe on, and then we'll move on to her bow and her mouth, and we'll be pretty much done. I just put just a few little drops of glue on the shoe. Don't want to do too much. And I'm just dabbing the rest of that off. Okay, let's get her bow in place. Okay, the middle of the bow is going to be on the lower section there, so it's more towards the bottom, in case you're wondering about the orientation of the bow. Just a few drops here and there. It's a pretty small piece. And just get it lined up with that little section there where just right where I'm showing you. Okay, and then we've got the little middle part of her bow. I was going to maybe ink that, but I don't think it's necessary. I think it's going to show up just fine. Just a little dot of glue. I've got my little pick-me-up tool here to help me with these smaller pieces. Okay, get her bow in place and then pick up. All right, so there's one more piece for her mouth, but that's not going to work until we get her in place here. So kind of discuss this. Oop, let me make sure that's dry. Yep, the googly eyes dry. Discuss this with Ron as to whether or not we should put pop dots or foam squares on our little guys here, and we kind of tested it out with a prototype and it did look really cute. So we are definitely going to pop dot these. I'm just going to use 2. I think that'll hold it just fine. It'll hide it nicely. Okay, we'll flip it around, get it nice and centered on your card. And we kind of want to make sure that we leave a little bit of headroom and a little bit of room at the bottom for her feet. Get it nice and centered and just push down. There we go. Look how cute that is. You may want to anchor it down with a few more pop dots. I think that's holding pretty well, but I guess when I did that, I did kind of forget it, how grabby kids can be. So maybe just one more little pop dot or foam square on there. Okay, and now this piece here, that's the middle of her mouth. That's going to go on this section here. Just get that nice and centered and aligned. There we go. All right, so our first little Valentine is complete.